Hello and welcome to my channel. Yes, this is a place in Germany. It's a creek in Germany. This creek is a warm water creek. It's not very long, several hundred meters before it drains into a cold water creek. But in this creek, I found a lot of exotic species. You can go there in winter time. You will see it in the same way that I show you here on the video. So it's a very interesting place, but let me explain you from the start. This place is close to Saarbrücken in the western part of Germany. It's called Schiffweiler, and the place is called Erlebnisort Reden. And this place, probably it was like they did some coal mining or stuff like that. I will link the homepage to this place. Also, I will link the contact of the manager. So just in case you want to visit and you want to look at the fish species or do some netting or check it out, please contact the manager. I mean, it's worth to look at it if you are in the aquarium hobby. And during the day, especially when it's sunny and nice weather, there's a lot of people there to just, mainly kids, to catch some guppies, mollies. And these are the main fish that I have found there. In the upper part of this place, where the water is really warm, like 29.1 degrees Celsius I measured, I will show that later in the video, you have mainly guppies. In the lower part of the creek, you have a lot of mollies, you have some catfish, you have also some cichlids. So yeah, I will show you what I have found. And what also concerns me, I found also species that worry me. The guppies and the mollies don't really worry me because they will stay in the part where is the warm water creek, and later when the creek drains into these cold water creeks that are around, the fish are not there anymore. So this is the place where the water comes in. So the water comes from a depth of like 800 meters, so that's why it is so warm. And if you go underwater, you will probably see mostly guppies, and they reproduced a lot in this place. We checked for shrimp also. We found just very few shrimp in this place. Maybe the water is too warm, and the shrimp are very little because the warmer the water, the smaller the shrimp. And if you do some netting in the plants, you will also find this guy. I remember them as Cichlidsoma nigrofasciatum, but probably the genus name changed because it does that a lot with a lot of cichlids. They change names all the time. So the further down you go, the cooler the water gets. It drops by just a few degrees Celsius, but this is like 100 meters away from the entrance of the water. And here we also find some other cichlids that you probably know from the trade. Of course, there's still the mollies. There's a lot of mollies. And like I said, there's a lot of kids also coming to this place to get some fish out. Also, these fish have been brought by people that released them here because probably they reproduced in their aquarium and they did not know where to put them. So that's why the guppies and the mollies, because they are some of the most popular fish in the trade. Until now, this they call it the Guppy Creek. It was a secret, but we would like to work with these guys, especially because of the species that I found that concern me, that worry me. So what do you guys think? Is it okay to disclose the place, or you think that it would be a problem that people from more far away will come to release species into this creek? Because the people in the area, they know the creek, they come very often with the kids, they do netting, they take fish home. In my view, it's okay that they do that. The only thing that I would worry about is that some of these guppy carry some bacteria or diseases, and this could, if you introduce them to your aquarium, this can have an effect on the population that you already have in your aquarium, and it could kill some of your fish or just wipe out the whole aquarium population. I think this should be something that you should think about. But what is your opinion about that? Is it okay to know about this place, or is it not okay? Are you worried that people could bring even more fish, or you say, okay, they will take some guppies home and it's not a problem? Besides the warm water, there are several pools that are not connected to the warm water and they have cold water. And in this place, you find some goldfish, some cold water fish, and the guy in charge, his name is Eric, he told me that these have been introduced by ducks, because you have a lot of ducks here also that come, and they probably introduce some fish eggs or some fry with their feathers or whatever. This can happen. We know that these things can happen. So the cold water places are also meanwhile populated with cold water fish. On the margins you mainly find fry, like small baby fish, and if you lift the leaves you also can find some shrimp. So in these protected areas you find a lot of babies, versus if you go like in the more fast flowing and more shallow parts, you will find a lot of mollies there, and just fewer and fewer guppies the more down the creek you go. When I have been the first time to this place, I have not seen that many mollies. There were a lot of guppies. Of course, it's more they went back to the original form, more or less. They have not that much color like the typical aquarium guppies, so they went back to the wild form. But back then we have not seen that many mollies. And if you want to know about the other creatures, the critters like shrimp, you have to use a net. Like 1-2 years ago I found a lot of shrimp. Meanwhile they are drastically decreased because probably of the newly introduced cichlids that eat the shrimp. And like I mentioned before, you can find them in smaller sizes like the typical, because the warmer the water and the smaller the shrimp. What really worries me is these crayfish. This is a species, back in 2003 I think, I wrote an article about them and described them as parthenogenetic. So these are crayfish that can clone themselves. You find just females. It's a crayfish from the genus Procamberus. It originates from the USA, very probably Florida, because I found out that it is related to Procamberus phalanx from Florida, but it's described as an own species, which I think it's not, but okay, scientists describe this as an own species, and here you can see my son Raiko with one of these crayfish. I think they are extremely dangerous because they also will survive in cold water. So the problem with these crayfish is one is enough to populate the whole creek. So besides the cichlids, which are there not in big numbers, but they are there, we found also in the warm water creek goldfish. Of course, we found the shrimp, the guppies, we found some snails. The water conductivity, as you can see here, is like 900. So that's pretty high. And then, of course, here the temperature in the upper part, 29.1. So I'm very curious about what you guys think about this place. Do you have similar places in your country? I know that in Hungary, for example, in Austria are places like this. Let me know, maybe I will visit them. Thanks a lot for watching. I wish you a good day. See you in the next video.